Leadership within a business is usually placed on the managers and supervisors. Common problems in workplaces often stem from different communication styles. Leadership facilitator Vicki Simonson is here to discuss strategies to use at your job. Thank you for joining us today. It's a beautiful day outside, so thank you for coming on in.
Thank you.
How do you help businesses with leadership?
One of the very first things I do is I'll interview the top management group and find out exactly what they're hoping to accomplish. Many different businesses have different perspectives they like focused on. So I end up putting together proposals. I work with their management group to find out what are their greatest strengths and what are some opportunities I'd like to focus on. And from that point, I draft a proposal for the leadership curriculum.
Right there. So you take this plan. How do you develop these certain plans for their business?
There's several different ways. The best way is when a company has already an employee satisfaction internal survey as well as customer satisfaction. That's a telling accumulation of information that helps me tailor very appropriately the training itself, and then also it helps me understand what kinds of tools, what kinds of background pieces do I work with that I can customize more effectively for them.
So it's not an all for one kind of plan, there's a customization. Why do you do that?
It's very important that the businesses have the result outcomes that they're looking for. One of the areas I really focus on is return on investment. And soft skills training is very important. In fact, it's fabulous even in the college environment. Actually, I'd like to work with colleges more often to start implementing that kind of leadership curriculum. How do you influence people well? What kind of impact do we have on others, and how do we make sure we lead ourselves and others well, even if we're not in a management capacity? So based on what I know that their outcomes are and what kind of feedback they get, I'm able to put together a proposal. They agree on the proposal. I talk to middle management as well, because it's very important to get their insight, and people who are frontline employees. Buy-in is really important. People need to feel that this is for them. It's helping them accelerate. It's not a way to improve who they are. It's a way to step up and even create more opportunity to have more influence in our workplace.
So it's not always just based on one singular person, it's everybody working together. And I know in your seminars you use a bike to represent the development and the leadership. What does it represent exactly?
Well, I always like to liken leadership as if we're riding a bike through life. The back wheel represents our power and our knowledge base, our education, the experience we bring to our work. The front wheel is how we navigate our day, our situations, how do we avoid potholes, how do we help make sure we work well through difficult situations. And in the business environment as well as in our personal environment, we experience those a lot. So if you have an overdeveloped back wheel, which is something that most businesses and companies and universities are easily able to put into place, that knowledge piece. If you have a very well-developed back wheel and a smaller developed front wheel, what happens when you're riding a bike like that?
It just tips over.
Yeah, there's so much power, you sometimes crash. And so the ability to work in a way that your back wheel and your front wheel skills, your interpersonal skills, are also equally balanced, helps us get through life, through our work environment, personal relationships, school relationships, even more effectively. And that's where the customer interactions come into play too. We call them internal customers, our coworkers, as well as our external customers, those customers we serve every day.
So you have all of this knowledge, and they go through these seminars and they gain knowledge as personal development and for their business. How do you implement these plans?
Typically, what I like to do is work with what I call a time-space learning environment. When you go to day-long seminars, many times you go and there's so much information that's very good information that when you get back to your workplace, many times in the stress of our day, we just shelve the information, we forget about it because we're going back to our existing habits. So what I like to do is take the information in like 3-hour increments. We work on a couple of concepts, do a lot of group work within the training environment, within the class itself, do case studies, role playing, and then there's always homework. People go back to work and they they apply and implement the training that they received, and then we come back and report on it the following week or even 2 weeks later. So that not only do they get to learn from the application of the training itself, that the people involved in the class also learn from each other that way too, because there's a lot of best practices that occur. And so as we work with the time space, then I know that things are being implemented and applied well. And then we many times go on for a full year, anywhere from 6 weeks to a full year curriculum.
Well, I feel like there's just so much personal development and business development as well, and you're so knowledgeable. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.